Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Today we are going to be taking a look at the top 10 hardest bosses in the new Elden Ring DLC. Let's go ahead and get into it. At number 10, we have Blackgal Knight, located in the Western Nameless Mausoleum. If you're a mage and you want to fight this guy, you're going to have a hard time. He's pretty resistant to magic. If you're a dex build, it shouldn't be too hard, but the problem is this takes place in a small room, and you cannot summon any spirits to help you along with this guy. Luckily, the boss is pretty predictable. He's not that hard to tell what's coming. He has one rage attack, which is to shoot crossbolts at you, and you can easily avoid it if you just step back or get away from him. But once you run into him and get close and just start hitting him, it goes by pretty quickly. Now, he does have a crap ton of health. This is the hardest part of this boss. It's not the fact that he does really crazy moves or that he can destroy you in like one hit. It's the fact that you have to keep hitting him again and again and again. He's got a crap ton of HP, but in the end it's kind of worth it. You get 70,000 runes, you get the Great Sword of Solitude, the Helmet of Solitude, you get all of the Solitude armor, so at least you get rewarded pretty well for defeating this guy at number 10. Now at number 9 we have the Puent Knight. Now this is a secret boss you can find in the game. It's over in the Fissure Depths, and you have to drop down into the crater at the tip of the Cerulean coast, very south of the map, and go through Fissure Cave. Now this is the double boss consisting of a horse and a knight. The knight is pretty difficult. He can probably kill you in like 2 to 3 hits, 1 to 2 depending on what level you are, but whenever he uses his flame magic or whatever it's called, and it's pretty tricky to dodge. He will cast like 3 waves of the ice flame magic in a row, and so it's almost impossible to dodge them. But I would say the best way to survive, you really have to be at full health and just at least dodge one of them. If you're at plus 60 vigor, you'll definitely survive, but always heal back to full throughout the entire fight. Being level 160 is recommended for this boss, but when the knight leaves the horse is when it actually gets harder, because the horse will appear again and will just randomly start attacking you. You have to dodge the same attacks over and over, and it's just really difficult to dodge some of the attacks that are coming at you. You get 220,000 runes though for beating this guy, and the Remembrance of the Erdtree, which is a pretty good remembrance in my opinion, but it is a very difficult fight. That's why it sits here at number 9. Now at number 8 we have one of the main bosses, the Golden Hippopotamus. I wouldn't say he's extremely hard. It's mostly just the fact that he has a ton of health and you keep having to do attacks to his head. But its attacks are pretty easy to avoid and just dodge. Now, I would recommend if you're new, just summon a Mimic tier whenever you go in, and you'll be able to pretty much destroy this guy. Now for mage builds, this is going to be super easy. You've pretty much got infinite mana with the Cerulean Hidden tier, and using Terra Magic on this guy pretty much destroys him. You just use Comet of Azure and he's pretty much done for. Now for me, who uses a dex build, it does take a little getting used to. Now his moves are pretty predictable. It's not that hard to read them. Now he will grab you and eat you in his mouth, and something will bug out sometimes if you get eaten by him, and then you'll get stuck in his mouth and you can keep hitting him again and again. But I wouldn't say he's extremely difficult. He might even deserve number 9, but he sits here at number 8 because of how big he is and how annoying, and the rewards he gives you. He gives you 200,000 rewards, 2 Erdtree fragments, and the aspect of the Crucible Thorn. So he gives you some pretty good stuff. That's why he's sitting here at number 8. At number 7, we're going to have Relana, the Twin Moon Knight, located in the Castle Lord's Chamber at the very end of the castle. Now this is recommended to have level 160 or more. Now if you're a mage, this is where you're gonna get punished. She has one of the highest resistance to blue magic, but a little less resistance to purple magic, so if you want to use gravity spells or something like that, you should be fine. She's got a ton of health though. She's extremely hard. She can kill you in like 3 hits, and she's also extremely fast. So unlike the other bosses where they are pretty slow, pretty predictable, but they have a ton of health, she is like the opposite. She has a ton of health, she does a ton of damage. She's gonna shoot some glintstone arcs at you. She's gonna do 360 spins. You're gonna have perfect timing for your dodges whenever fighting this lady. She does like a shockwave that will drop you down and always hit you wherever you are. So you can summon 2 NPCs outside the door to help you with this. I don't do that because that's lame. One thing that would probably help you if you're a mage is just use the spell Rock Sling. It's pretty strong against her. Now if you're dex build, Obviously, there's not really much I can tell you to help you out. Bleed is always good, and you're gonna want to have like 60, 70 plus vigor for this lady, because she is going to, if you don't have your vigor up, she's gonna one-shot you. If you've even got 60 or 70, that takes 3 shots and you're done. She does give some good rewards. I wouldn't say as good as the last boss we talked about. Now, she does give some good rewards. She gives 180,000 runes and then the remembrance of the Puent Knight. So it's pretty awesome if you do beat her, because that remembrance is actually very important to the game and very helpful. So I would say this is why she sits at number 7. Now we have number 6, Divine Beast Dancing Lion. Now this is one of the easiest of the big bosses probably. If you're a mage, you shouldn't have a problem at all. Comet Azure just destroys this thing. A Mimic Tear will help you too if you do that. Now if you're just a normal walking peasant like me, you just run in, you gotta learn its attacks. Now, I do find that any animals are pretty annoying to deal with and learn the attacks around it. Now, the boss is going to use some Gray Breath on you that covers long distances, but if you use melee attacks getting close to him and just learn his movements, it shouldn't be too hard. Like I said, I do hate any animals because most of the time they've got some sporadic movement. He's got a little bit, but it's pretty predictable at most times, and I wouldn't say he's harder. Now, I would say he is fun to battle. Just the idea and the concept of him and the way he looks, I just love everything about this boss. You're gonna locate him at stage front. That's where he's located, and so it's not gonna be that hard to find him. Now the reason he's at number 6 is because not only is he difficult, but I just love everything about him. I think he's pretty cool looking, and he gives you the remembrance of the Dancing Lion, which is pretty good, and 90,000 runes. I would say he's probably not the hardest boss, but he gets the job done, you know? Now, this is where we step our game up by a lot. At number 5, we have Mesmer the Impaler. This boss is located in the Dark Chamber entrance at the very top of Shadowkeep. So this boss is insane. This is the main boss for Shadowkeep. He's extremely aggressive, has long combinations, covers medium rage, and uses fire magic. And he's got 2 different phases like Melania or any of the big bosses before him. He'll change into a serpent form whenever his health reaches below 50%. Now, if you're a mage, he's weak to blue magic. Best spell is Glintstone Shards. Do not use Comet Azure or Rock Sling on this guy. They're too slow for his movements, so you just want to use the Great Glintstone Shards. Now, if you're above 60 vigor, you're going to be able to survive one of his grabs if you're 100% health. But he hits like a truck. He is going to destroy you if you get caught. Now he has like explosive blast and a bunch of different moves he can do. He jumps in the air, he'll go and turn into a ball, all these different crazy moves he does. But when he gets into his second phase, he's like a serpent with a burning mouth and comes crashing down on the ground and creates explosions, shoots fire, all these different things at you. You're generally wanting to dodge sideways whenever he calls the serpent form and stuff like that. There's not really much to help you with this boss if you're not good at the game. I do feel bad for anyone who's a mage because this guy, he's pretty fast. He's pretty quick. It's going to take you a long time to get any attacks off. It's recommended being level 170 plus for this guy. But I would say overall, one of the tougher fights in this game. Just takes a while to learn his movesets, when to dodge. But then again, it takes some luck because in the second phase, you don't know what attacks you're going to get. Eventually, you'll get a good try whenever he does more of his slow attacks in his second phase. Then you can deal him a ton of damage. But just keep trying and trying. That's the fun of Dark Souls games. You get to try and try. Now, you probably will die a lot. Unless you're like solo her or something like that. You're probably going to die a lot. But in the end, you're going to get some great stuff from this. You get 400,000 runes. You get Remembrance of the Impaler. You get the Messer Kindling, which is like a key item for the story. So you get some things that are really important for the game if you beat this boss. So that's why they sit here at number 5. Next at number 4, we have Needle Knight Ladia, Hornset, and Dryleaf Dane. She is located at the Cleansing Chamber Anteroom, and she is pretty annoying. Now, if you're a mage build, you may have an easier time, and if you summon things to assist you, it's pretty difficult to defeat this boss. Now, any boss where you have to fight multiple people is always worse, always terrible, always annoying. So you're going to want to target in on a few different people. So first, you're going to want to take out Dryleaf Dane. So if you are quick enough to kill Dryleaf Dane before Needle Knight Ladia arrives, when you're out of stamina, just wait. You'll recharge and run into him and just spam attacks until you're out of stamina. Get him out of there as fast as you can. Don't worry about taking damage here. If you can get him out of here, it makes the fight so much easier because it's already going to be a 3v1. On her own, she's not really a crazy threat, but with all 3 of them, you know, any Souls game where you have multiple people, just very annoying. She'll try and dodge a bunch of your attacks. She does a ton of damage. They're all going to be attacking at you at the same time. You guys kind of get the spiel. Nobody really likes the battles where you have to fight more than one person. They're kind of cheap to say they're harder, but this one is definitely harder. But you do get 300,000 runes, and you get a ton of equipment like Hornset armor, you get Dryleaf armor, you get Ladia's armor. You can they drop all these different things, so it actually is worth it, and you get a ton of armor and weapons for this, so it is worth it in the end. But that's why it sits here at number 4. Now at number 3 we have another secret boss called Midra, Lord of the Frenzied Flame. Now this one is pretty difficult, especially if you get there too early game like I did. He's first going to start off in a weak, small, deformed creature which will die in a few hits, but if you get close to him, he's going to grab you afterwards, give you some madness. It's going to be crazy. Now he's always going to start by shooting 2 waves of madness spells at you, and he's going to do some different things. If you do get hit after this, immediately heal back because it takes him a little bit of time. Now I had a pretty hard time with this just because this was like one of the first bosses I fight. That's why it's at number 3 for me. Now I realized looking into it after making this video, he is not as hard as I guess, especially for mages and stuff like that. I had a hard time beating him because his melee damage is so high and I was just under leveled. So personally I put this at number 3 just because it gave me a hard time, and also I like the idea of a boss that like starts off all weak and small and then haha, surprise, get eaten boy, and it kind of destroys you. But he does drop a noticeable 410,000 runes, and he drops the Remembrance of the Lord of the Frenzied Flame. So those are both pretty good. Pretty difficult boss, but I would not say the hardest boss. I enjoyed fighting him. The whole concept of him being weak and feeble and then all of a sudden boom, he's so powerful is a pretty good concept that I like, and it happens sometimes in Souls games, but this is one of the funniest times because he's just so powerful, and that's why he sits here at number 3. Now at number 2, this is where we get to end game. This is where you test your skill as a Souls player. We have Bale the Dread. Now Bale the Dread and Promised Consort Redon are 2 of the hardest bosses in the game. Bale is a huge dragon at the top of Jagged Peak. He's extremely hard because he has AoE attacks. AoE attacks, always annoying. You need perfect dodging, perfect timing for all of his attacks, and he's got a crap ton of health. Now you can do some things to help you out with this. If you take out the 2 Jagged Peak dragons at the site of Grace, now you can call people to help you with this battle. You can summon people with your golden finger or whatever. Now that does make it easier. The only thing is his attacks are so large, do so much damage. He is going to destroy you if you get hit. All you can do is try and dodge them. You have to have like perfect timing. All you can do is like roll half a second before he hits the ground. You don't have a lot of opportunity to hit him. Now how hard this fight is obviously going to be determined by what level you are. If you're level 150, this is going to be an extremely hard fight. At level 190 with like 15 Erdtree blessings, it's not that difficult. But I would say this is by far one of the hardest bosses in the new DLC. He is going to shoot fire, he's going to do bashes, he's going to do all these different attacks, and he's got a crap ton of health. He's like all those bosses at the beginning, but he hits you like a tank. He destroys you from the air, he destroys you on the ground. He does all these crazy things. He transforms and gets more aggressive halfway through. He'll fly up in the air and shoot fire projectiles at you. But he does give you some awesome loot. 490,000 runes, almost 500,000 runes in the Heart of Bale, which you can get for powerful incantations. And that's why he sits here at number 2. And at number 1, I guess none of you probably would have thought of this. It is the final boss of the DLC, the Promised Consort Redon. Redon obviously is one of the coolest bosses, and now we get to see him again, but he's even more powerful. He's by far the hardest boss though. He has 2 phases. He transforms at half health. Now it's recommended that you be like probably 170 at least to fight this guy. He's gonna kill you in like 1 or 2 attacks, and he's got a lot of AoE attacks that are hard to dodge. He's also got a crap ton of health like all the other bosses. He's weak to bleed damage, however, so I got lucky here because I'm a Dex build. I'm the nerdy samurai guy. Boom, boom, a couple slices, get a lot of bleed. Don't get me wrong, it is extremely hard, but it was not as hard as I expected just because I got lucky, because my build was pretty strong against him. Now you can, if you do some summons, you can actually get 3 summons to assist you with this if you get the Mimic tier to help you out, and they'll kind of keep the attention away from you. But the best way to do this, to beat this boss, is obviously using dual wielding bleed effect weapons like the Uchikatana and different things like that to help you fight this guy. But if you do end up summoning those people to come and help you, he ends up getting 3 times the health. So it's not like it becomes a walk in the park. You're definitely not going to want to do this as a mage. You'll run out of mana too fast. He's super tanky. He'll take all your hits. You're going to want to make that dex build. You're going to want to use your bleed. If you're solo, he's going to have a lot less health, but he's going to do some jump attacks, does some purple AoE damage. Just dodge. That's the only thing you can really do. If you can dodge a lot of his attacks. His first phase is not super aggressive, but when he gets in his second phase, that's whenever you're gonna get destroyed. And then his third phase is just insane. So you're gonna have to pretty much just keep trying over and over until you can get this guy whittled down, because that's how it is in Souls games. You just gotta learn the patterns, learn the movements, and eventually you'll get him. But yeah, dex build is definitely one of the best ways to take him down with bleed damage. This is crazy because you only get 375,000 runes for this guy. In the last one you got almost 500,000, but then you get the remembrance of a god and lord, and the shadow of the Erdtree story is over. So that's definitely why he deserves to be at number 1 for the hardest bosses in the new Elden Ring DLC. If you guys thought I missed somebody that deserved to be on this list, let me know in the comments down below, and if any of these guys gave you a hard time, let me know that as well. But if you enjoyed, make sure to subscribe, like this video, and have a great day.